morning, everyone. Welcome back to 933 CFMU. This is the Morning File. I'm your host, Brian Zhang, and today we're here with Marina, a public speaking consultant as well as an entrepreneur. Marina, you used to go to McMaster University?
Yeah, I'm a McMaster alum from 2009, I think. So yeah, it's really nice to talk to you.
Yeah, pleasure to talk to you too as a fellow McMaster alum.
Yeah.
And what did you study here at Mac?
Actually, I'm not even sure if this runs anymore, but I studied medical physics. Like in the NRB building, I had my classes, and it was a really good time. It was a really awesome program. I'm pretty sure it got shut down, and that's very upsetting. It's run as a grad program now, from what I understand.
Okay.
Maybe I'm totally wrong about this. But it was an amazing time back almost 10 years ago.
And so now you're working as a public speaking consultant.
Yeah, that's right.
So tell us start off. What is your company name, and how did you get into it through medical physics?
Yeah, that's a very kind of unconventional path, I have to admit. First of all, my company name, it's just marinaschwartz.com. So it's just my own consulting company.
Yeah.
And the way I got started, I was actually a teacher. So just to go back, almost 10 years, when I was at McMaster, I did a science co-op, which was really, really enlightening. It was a really great time, and I worked in science research kind of all over Ontario, including sick kids and in other hospitals. And then after graduating, I kind of thought about where I wanted to go next, and I wanted to stay closer to home at the time. So I thought that the best thing to do was to go to Teachers College and work as a teacher.
Yeah.
In math and physics, or math and science, which were my two favorite things at the time. So I did that for 8 years, it was really great. I'm really thankful for those experiences, and I absolutely loved working with people and kind of inspiring new minds to love math and to love science. And after about 8 years, I just thought, you know what, we millennials, we're not, it's no longer normal to commit to one job for the rest of your life. I just had the itch to move on or to do something else. And I didn't know if I should go back to school. I actually applied, or I was about to apply for a master's back in medical physics at McMaster. And I just thought, I don't know if this is the right path right now. And I thought, maybe I'll start a company. Which was my main goal, my main objective in reality was just to learn new things. Like that's all I really wanted. I just wanted to learn something new. And I thought, well, if I start a company, I'll actually get to learn how to start a company and how to, run a website and how to market and all of that stuff without having to commit to going back to school and kind of having to commit to a certain schedule that I wasn't prepared for a couple of years ago. And I actually started a company, and I still own it. I still have it, and it's doing very successfully. I have an online retail business, and I sell baby products. It's called Mars and Stars. Yeah, it's a little play on my name, which is really that's something I really enjoy, and that's where I got to learn, a lot of skills like building website marketing, social media, all of these things that are pertinent, and they're not really, the information isn't totally out there in a conventional learning style yet. So I'm really grateful that I got a chance to teach myself these new skills without a super high pressure or without having too much at stake, so to say, because starting a business, yes, it's scary. It's very scary. But once you dive in, you kind of, you have to do it. So, so I'm really glad I got to gain those skills. And now that I have them, I kind of wanted to continue expanding to new things. And the baby products business, as much as I love it, it's not something I want to expand. It doesn't seem so meaningful to me right now to make it a huge company. But one thing that I absolutely loved doing was working with people one-on-one and giving them advice and kind of, being encouraging and trying to get them to take leaps and, see their own strengths. These are the skills I gained as a teacher. And I also understand that it was really hard. It's really hard for some people to break out of their shell and kind of want to get in front of people and speak up and kind of be seen. So right now I'm working on giving people skills in order to build that courage and see themselves in the light that they really, or be able to show themselves in the light that they want to be seen in.
And how long have you been working as a public speaking consultant?
The public speaking consulting is kind of in its infancy as a company right now. So I kind of do it. I've been doing it for on and off for, a couple of years, but not really as a business.
Yeah.
So right now I'm transitioning into having it as a business. So it's hard for me to answer that question because it's something that I've helped with friends and then, their friends. But right now I'm transitioning it into as a actual business with a plan and, business goals.
And how do you think your degree here at McMaster, do you think that has had any skills that's been able to transfer into your public speaking career?
Yes. So I mentioned that I did a science co-op, which if any like first or second year students are listening, I would so recommend applying for a co-op because it's honestly the best decision anybody could ever make. So my first co-op was actually at the University of Ottawa, or not the university, it was at a hospital in Ottawa, and I had to move away. It was pretty far. I didn't know anybody there, and I worked in a hospital in the cardiac unit, and I had to give presentations, or I had to give a handful of presentations to all the head doctors, all the head scientists there. And the first time that I did it, it was just a complete disaster because I prepared. I thought I was very prepared. I worked really hard. And as soon as I stepped out there, and I was in front of all of these really big deal people, as soon as I stepped out there, I was having an out-of-body experience. So I can't even tell you whether or not it went well because I was so nervous. I think I was just on autopilot, and I was just maybe talking. I don't even know half. Very little recollection of what happened. But that's what sort of made me decide that I have to gain the skills. I have to create myself. I want to be seen as a big deal in the science world at the time. So I have to make an impression. I have to actually relay my research or relay what I was doing in a way that's engaging and exciting for my audience. So it was very profound for me because in order to gain those skills and gain that confidence, it took a lot of work. But I understand that it is work. So some people need the help in order to know what work to do or what steps to take and how to actually do it and how to open their eyes to it and decide how they want to be seen and how they want to portray themselves. So that's what I aim to do. I'm going back to that, scared 20-year-old who's in front of these big giants, industry giants, and, going back to see how did I teach myself to break out of my shelf and to see myself as on an equal playing field with these people.
Yeah, and I like that because I think your experience is a lot more different from individuals who were just naturally talented at public speaking. Because when you go through it, when you go through that grit of teaching yourself and learning the skill, I think you have a much more, like a stronger understanding of what it takes to help other people who don't have the skill also to learn, right?
Exactly. Thank you, Brian. And the other thing about it is, so one thing that I'm a strong believer in, and that's basically the first thing I teach, is something called the growth mindset. Is that something you have heard of?
Growth mindset, is that similar to approaching things in like a beginner mindset, or?
Maybe. I've never heard the term beginner mindset, but it kind of sounds like it's the same. But the growth mindset is based on, it's a huge thing in education. And actually, when I read about it, it completely blew my mind.
Yes.
But the idea of it is, it's based on like decades of like psychology research out of, I think, Stanford by a psychologist named Carol Dweck. And what it means is there's something called a fixed mindset and a growth mindset, and it's all pertinent to learning. And if you either have the growth mindset or you adopt the growth mindset, you basically believe that you can learn anything. So your brain is a muscle. It's kind of like getting stronger, right? So getting stronger by going to the gym. So you can learn anything. It's not like a case of some people are good at one thing and some people are good at another thing. Like, it might appear that way to most of us because, for example, I really enjoy math, and so I was always driven to be better and better and to learn more, and as opposed to some of my friends who were not really into math, and they just saw themselves, oh, I'm not good at it, so I'm not even going to try. But in reality, everybody has a starting point, and you can always move forward. You might not be able to move forward as fast as your peers in a certain area or a certain topic, including public speaking, including confidence, and really including creativity and art and like music and sports. You might not be able to move as fast as your peers or a friend of yours, but everybody can move forward. You have to know your starting point, and you have to know that you can every single day by trying. You can get better and better and better. The key is to not be afraid of failing or afraid of looking stupid if you try. You're not always gonna hit your goal right away. And the people who think they're good at something, they expect to hit their goals right away. And when they don't, they're kind of like, well, this isn't for me. I'm just not good at it or whatever. But that's a fixed mindset. And a lot of us, in one way or another, we have it. So, and so as a public, when you have to give a presentation, if you fail once, or if you see yourself as doing a bad job once, it's kind of easy to say, well, I'm just not good at it. It's just not for me. But you're good at it, so you go ahead and do it. It's not really how it works. So I hope I didn't go off too much of a tangent.
No. Yeah.
But the growth mindset is a huge proponent of how I approach things, and it's really a huge proponent of my whole life. So
yeah, that's it's also like, and given your teaching background too, it's probably like fantastic for you being a consultant and helping other people with public speaking, especially with like we talk about making sure we have SMART goals, like just very small obtainable goals, just like little benchmarks, right? And for you having a teaching background, and you definitely know that, like how it's more important to improve than to have just like a major significant jump, or just setting like goals that are just completely unrealistic, right?
I think you need a little bit of both. There are times in my life where having small goals and just being able to achieve or just give myself a check mark, like that's all I needed in order to kind of give myself a boost and create momentum and actually get going. And at the same time, like having those like crazy goals is important too. Like, for example, being ultra successful in this consulting career it's not something I where I stand right now, but it is a goal of mine. And in some senses, I'm not sure how I'm going to get to that ultra successful point, but it is one of those like crazy goals that I'm sort of inching myself forward. And so you need a little bit of both. But obviously, if you have that one crazy goal and that you don't even know how to take the first few steps, it could be a little bit discouraging. But if you have too many small goals, then you might look back and say, I'm not even sure what it is that I accomplished in the, as a big picture. So you need a little bit of both, and you have to be okay with, changing course as well.
Awesome. Yeah. And, I don't want you to give away too many of your secrets, but is there any like advice for like just a quick general advice that you'd give to anyone who's looking to improve their public speaking?
Yeah, of course. So the very first thing that I go into is this concept of growth mindset. Without believing that you can grow and you can actually learn things, and that anybody can learn and get better at anything that they want. If you don't believe that, then you have to get on that. You have to learn about the growth mindset, or try to adopt it in your own life. That's the very, very, very first step in almost anything, if you want to be successful in anything. And this actually includes if you want to learn the guitar, or if you want to learn to be a singer, or even if you want to draw. Some people think that some people are born great painters or something like that. Yes, some of them picked it up really fast, but you can be great as well. The next step that I go into, and I think this is actually the most important step, that's to kind of give yourself a very clear picture of how you want to be perceived on stage. And if you do nothing else, this is the most important thing. So kind of go into, like, picture yourself on, at your next presentation, or, something grand, like giving a TED Talk or whatever, and actually, like, look at yourself both from inside and outside. Like, what do you look like? What's your posture like? What's your voice? What does your voice sound like? What is your body language and facial expressions like? How do you sound? How do you look? How does the audience look? How do you move around? And the reason I ask people to do this is because how I would look on stage and how you would look on stage and sound and behave are totally different, and they're both they can be both perfect for us. So the whole idea is, I don't want to give you tips like make sure you stand up straight or make sure you speak slowly, because that's not relevant to everybody. I wouldn't ask Gary Vee to be more like Seth Godin, and I wouldn't ask Seth Godin to be more like Gary Vee. But they're perfect because they know what they want to be, how they want to come
be perceived.
off. So the very first step, and it's actually the most important one, is to have a very, very, very clear vision in great detail of how you want to be perceived. And now, once you have it, and how you want to feel, how you want to sound, and how you want people to react. Now, once you have it, this is your benchmark. You could always, give yourself a score from 1 to 10 every time, like how close you got to that vision. Oh, sorry, can you still hear me?
Yes, yeah.
I'm getting a little bit of echo. But once you have that clear vision, you can work towards it. You know what you're working towards, and it's actually super easy to become that person once you know who that person is.
Interesting. Yeah, thank you. It's a long tip, but that's a very good tip. Yeah, I think for a lot of people, especially, I think even myself, like when I just started doing the show in the beginning of the summer, everyone wants to be a better speaker, and I don't think anybody understands like what kind of speaker they want to be, right? I think everyone has they think that like certain goals, what even defines a good speaker, which is I think a very important thing, especially for a lot of people. Yeah. Well,
but but just as a quick interruption, it's different for everybody, and that's what's important. And you shouldn't get hung up on being that comedian or exciting or entertaining when it's not who you actually want to be
perceived as. Yeah. Interesting. Well, perfect. Well, I think that's all we have left for the time we have now in the interview, and it's a great way to end off. I guess just to end off, if you want to rehash some of the details of your business, where people can find out more information about you or get in contact with you.
Sure. So again, I'm a public speaking consultant, and I enjoy talking to people such as you, Brian, just to kind of give out tips, especially to students who are, getting started with their adult life. You can find me at marinashkvoretz.com, and I'm not going to spell that out. It's phonetic. If you're interested, I'm sure you can find me. Or on LinkedIn, Twitter, all of that fun stuff.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And if any audience members are just tuning in, you can always find our podcast at cfmu.ca. This podcast specifically will be podcasted right at 10 a.m. today. And if you missed anything, you can just listen to the podcast and listen to more tips or any of the information by Marina. Thank you so much for joining us today, Marina.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks.
And that